So now that we have the law, let's factually analyze the elements for murder 2 under the implied malice theory of depraved heart. To do this, I want us to isolate the conduct we're going to be examining. Let's try to be as specific as possible. We can't speak in generic terms of this kind of killing. We can't say, for example, guns are dangerous or presicanarios are dangerous. That's not going to work effectively in our analysis. Indeed, there's nothing inherently unlawful or dangerous about owning these dogs. It's not against the law to own them. No, we have to examine the conduct using all the specific facts that we have to determine whether it's behavior that warrants a depraved heart murder charge. Given all the facts at hand, average people would know that Marjorie Knoller endangered human life in general that afternoon, as she did every afternoon when she walked the dogs. What are those facts? These two defendants owned two vicious dogs that they couldn't control, didn't muzzle, in a small apartment space where the dogs came into contact with people in and outside of the building. The defendants had trained the dogs to fight, had given them warlike names, and to prove how dangerous they were, the court recites facts that there were about 30 reported incidents where the dogs were out of control and threatening people and their animals. And there was more that average people would know. They would know that their vet told them this. They would know that the previous owner told them this, and still they disregarded it. Armed with all this information, average people would understand that her having these dogs around other people and under these circumstances endangers human life on a daily basis. The second element is whether her conduct demonstrated base antisocial behavior or motive. This element is often the deciding one for whether it should be murder 2 or involuntary manslaughter. This element focuses on whether defendant is callous and has complete disregard for the safety of others. To prove this element, prosecution is going to be able to introduce evidence of defendant's character, motive, and other evidence that may not otherwise seem relevant. This case is filled with these kind of facts that actually can be used to show Marjorie Knoller's base antisocial motive. That's why the Supreme Court opinion discusses defendant's relationship with Pelican Bay prison inmates and the Aryan Brotherhood gang members. In fact, they even start the opinion with it. Defendants were lawyers who claimed that one of these inmates was their client. But the relationship was not merely attorney-client. It was a lot more. This couple spoke about having adopted him. Why would this have any relevance on a discussion of a dog mauling to death a young woman in their apartment building? It does if one is trying to show their motive in possessing these dogs. That's why the court discusses that defendants were attempting to create a business with members of the Aryan Brotherhood, to buy, to raise, to breed presicanarios to be used for fighting, and they settled on their business name, Dog of War. The fact that they partnered up with a hate group such as the Aryan Brotherhood further fuels that belief that this was base antisocial behavior for them to own the dogs and that they had a base antisocial motive. They weren't just training them to be fighting dogs, but their partnership in breeding these dogs shows this base antisocial behavior. But there's more that the court focuses on. Despite the numerous dog bites and the almost bites, Marjorie Knoller and Robert Knoll showed no remorse or empathy for the distress their dogs caused. Even when confronted by these instances of angry neighbors, neither defendant seemed interested in the complaint or in remedying it. That also demonstrates the callousness with which they approach the confrontations. Now for the third element, as it pertains to Marjorie's own subjective appreciation. Did she know that her possession and conduct around these animals endangered human life? The answer has to be yes. The same facts that clued average people into the dangerousness of these animals fits here as well. Marjorie Knoller received the letter from the vet telling her the dogs were not fit for a home environment. She knew that the dogs had bitten her husband and had bitten others. She also knew that many people, including Diane Whipple, were deathly afraid of these dogs. The bottom line is she knew and she didn't care. She appreciated that her conduct endangered human life in general, and she didn't care. That's the callousness for murder 2.